Hello everyone. We are going to discuss the GS questions of CSE. Today onwards, we will discuss two questions from GS and we will discuss the solution of the questions. Let us start. So the first question says, explicate the impact of successive government of India acts on the content of the constitution. So you can see the a broad line of the answer is given in the beginning. So if you are following this, you can stop and you can answer. And after that, you can see the solution part of this. So basically, let us understand the question. It says that what was the impact of the different government of India acts on the Constitution of India at present? So how the introduction can be carried for this? We had to introduce with the definition of the Government of India Act with reference to the history of it actually. Okay, so how it had started and what was the starting point of this Government of India Act, that has to be part of the introduction. In the body, what we have to discuss, the impact of the Government of India Act, okay, which started post 1857 onwards to not before that one actually. Okay, so basically some of the acts which started from 1764, but not that one, whatever acts which came from 1857, so their content and how these different Government of India acts, they have influenced the present day constitution. So different headings, and we can use the articles also from the constitution with as a reference. And in conclusion, with the parliamentary debate, this answer can be concluded. So let us see the framework of the answer. So introduction, we can say that this Government of India Acts, it refers to the all the acts which were made by the Parliament of United Kingdom after the Sepoys Mutiny. So, and it is a kind of very landmark event which took place, a shift from the Charter Act. So earlier they used to build the Charter Act, and now onwards they started Government of India Act. And basically on what it focused on the decentralization and the responsible behavior, which in itself contradicts the policies of the British earlier, which was expansion and centralization. Earlier, the government used to centralize, all its policy used to be for the centralization. But here onwards, what we see, that government took a U-turn. It changed its policy. So, this this even whatever is written there, this can be also reduced in few words, okay, as introduction. And body better see here, okay. So we will discuss, this act of each act and how they have influenced or impacted the Constitution of India. So little bit information about this acts. Actually, these acts were implemented in a series from 1857 to 1935 on the demand of the situation. How the situation demanded, accordingly the different acts came into existence. And father of the constitutions, or those members who are making the constitutions, they referred this document as a reference document while making the constitution. So how these different act impacted or they had influenced, let us see one by one. So first we see the Government of India Act 1858. So how it had their nominal head. So that time India was ruled by the Majesty as British government took over the East India Company, and similarly today all decisions are taken and executive orders are issued in the name of the president. So that time it was his secretary of the state as a nominal head, and now we have got the president. And you see the cabinet system is also okay. Like secretary of the state had 15 members as a council, so that we can have the cabinet system which we have present now. So the cabinet system and the nominal head can be they have They had been in that 1858 Act, and now also they are the part of the Constitution in a very changed form. Then you see Government of India Act 1861. There is the federalism. Federalism, how it happened in that 1861 Act, decentralization was done to the legislative powers of Bombay and Madras provinces. Okay, so this how we can relate. We can relate that how the state legislatures are empowered. Okay, at the present day constitution in Article 244, 45, clause 1. So how the states are given power, that we derive from the Government of India Act 1861. Ordinance, Viceroy, he had the independence of taking any ordinance. So similar reference we find in Article 123 of the Constitution, which deals with the ordinance making power in a very emergency situation. Then we come to Government of India Act 1892. Okay, so what we see here, like members of the Legislative Council that time, they were recommended by the Provincial Legislature Council in the Bengal Chamber of municipalities, trade union, students, etc. These were the different bodies which were recommending the Legislative Council. Similarly, we can see there in Article 169 with the election of the members of the Legislative Council. So they also have the similarities. Then we have got Government of India Act 1909. In that, what we see that that time in the legislative power was enhanced, okay, in 1909, and they had the power of asking supplementary questions and powers to pass the resolution. And today's parliamentary proceedings, okay, we have like question hours, point of hours, so they have some kind of similarities. And another thing we see reservation policy. So in 1909, they introduced the communal representation for the Muslim community. And the same thing we can see for the reservation of the SC and ST community in election as per the Article 334. And women too also have the reservation in under Article 343D for the Tier 3 bodies. Then next we have Government of India Act 1919. So there we find the decentralization. Article 243, it talks about the union list, state list, and the concurrent list. Okay, and that time we find that they had introduced a hierarchy system. Second, what we see in the present day constitution, bulwark of merit. Federal Public Service Commission was established and later transformed into Union Public Service, which is also present now. And when we see about the Government of India Act 1935, a lot of things had taken place in this. Okay, first of all, the federal court, okay, had established. So all the state high courts, they find their traces or reference to the federal court when it was established, when it had its reference in Government of India Act 1935. Then we see the bicameralism. Okay. So Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they trace their origin the lower and the upper house during the 1919 Act. Okay, so this we can relate with that. Then how we can conclude actually? We can conclude that the past acts, especially the Government of India Act, has hugely impacted the present day constitution. And we can quote the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar words here, who said like nobody holds the patent on the fundamental ideas and there is no shame in borrowing from the best, be it the past act. So let us see another question. Okay, it says to discuss the nature of the Indian states as given in the preamble. What is the significance of a preamble when it is not justiciable? So basically the question says that the preamble what kind of state India has, what are the features of the Indian state, which is given in the parliament. So this need to be discussed in the first part of the answer. And second part, we have to discuss that though preamble is not justiciable, legally it is not enforceable, at the same time, how significant it is. So this has to be discussed in the second part. So introduction, we have to introduce the history of the preamble. Then coming to the body, as I said just now, that first part of the question, it should be dealing with the nature of the Indian states as it is mentioned in the preamble, and we should use those words which are given there. And for significance, we can take the multiple dimensions, special, social, political, economic, cultural, international, administrative, all these we can take with the recent examples. And with the parliamentary debates, we can conclude this one. So let us see this, okay. So when we talk about the history of the preamble, so American Constitution is the first to have the preamble in its constitution, and later on many other countries also started having, and so did India. And what is actually preamble in the context of the constitution? It is viewed as an introduction, it's a very basic, or which is the preface of the constitution. So by looking at the constitution, one can have a glimpse of the entire constitution. Let us see the body of this, okay. So preamble was drafted based on the objective resolution. So basically Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru passed, okay, the had before that he drafted, and after that later on he had this introduced in the Constituent Assembly, this objective resolution, which later on came to know as the preamble. So you can make a diagram also like that, which are like preamble says that Indian state has to be sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republican. And after that, we can say one by one also sovereign. When we say sovereign, it means India is neither dependent on any other state, at the same time, nor it has any dominion of any country. Okay, that means no authority is above it, above Indian government or Indian nation. And India's membership in the United States or the Commonwealth is no way limitation to its sovereignty. They don't limit in India's independence, or they don't dominate. Okay. Another characteristics or features which preamble has is socialist. Okay, this was added in this 42nd Constitution Amendment 1976, and this emphasized on the Indian brand of socialism, which is democratic socialism. Okay, a democratic socialism means which is mix of Marxism and Gandhian ideology. So like the West, we don't tilt entirely towards the Marxism, but we have the kind of mixed democratic socialism. Then next, what we see secular, and this also was not the originally kept in the preamble. It was added in the 42nd Constitutional Amendment in 1976. And when we talk about the secularism, which is mentioned in the preamble, we talk about the positive concept, unlike the West, which have got the negative uh, concept of the secularism. In India, we say that secularism would mean ensuring the equal status to all the religions, irrespective of their numerical strength, whether they are majority or minority. Then another thing what we find here is the democratic. Okay, India has adopted a democratic form of government where executive is held responsible to the legislature. So this is separately a kind of parliamentary democracy we have, where the executives are responsible to the legislature. It is unlike the presidential form of government, which is in USA, where the executive is not responsible. So we can say we have a democratic form of government, which is a responsible government. Okay, right. Next, we see the republic. Okay, head of the state is elected, but no one has to claim based on a lineage. That means family wise, like earlier days, there used to be king or queen, and hereditary linkages had to be there, but that is not okay. The head of the state in India is elected one, and anybody who is Indian origin can be head of the state. So we can say that politically sovereignty lies with the people actually, and not any individual king or queen as it used to be happen. Okay, yes. And some political scientists, they criticize also the preamble for its nature of being non-justiciable. They say that see, preamble has got no significance because it is not legally enforceable. So it is just there for the namesake. But despite of some of its concerns or challenges, it has got significant role to play. And let us see some of the roles which this play. Okay. First of all, this constitution, sorry, preamble acts as a role uh, as blueprint. Okay, its role can be seen as a blueprint. What does it mean? It simply means that preamble shows the vision and the dream of the founding fathers, how they envision to see how the India should be there. Okay. Another thing, what we see, this importance of the preamble, it acts as a yardstick of development. Okay, preamble highlights the democratic socialism nature of the society. This can ensure the overall development of all sections. That means no section of the society is left out. Everybody is taken into consideration when we go for the development, and this we derive from the preamble. And whatever the statement we make while writing the answer, it has to be supported with some examples, and that makes the answer fully complete. So in this, how it is a yardstick of development. So examples we can cite like Manrega, we have got PM Kisan scheme, PDS. All these highlight that there has to be overall development of the society. Next, what we see, political significance also it has. Okay, like quotes many time it has to quote to the preamble as a reference while giving some judgment, or when there is a confusion regarding any provisions of the constitution, so preamble has to be quoted. So judiciary also takes the help of the preamble. Now, cultural significance also it has got. Okay, secularism is very core to Indian society since the Harappan civilization time. Okay, so and there are many things, cultural aspects, customs, traditional events of the society, which they derive from the preamble of the constitution. Okay, so conclusion, what we can say? We can say that preamble, though it is not justiciable, however, it is prime importance to the state. Okay, and we can quote the words of Munshi, who said like preamble is the horoscope of our constitution and lays a pattern to our society that our makers of the constitution dreamt of. That means basic framework of the society, how it was envisioned by the makers of the constitution, can be seen in the preamble. So this is how we can conclude this. So we are done for the discussion. We will see tomorrow, and we will discuss two other questions from the GS. And basically, if are you following this one, you can just see the questions, you can write your own answers, and after that you can see the solution part of it, and hope it helps you. Thank you for the discussion.